Let me ask you something. When was the last time you wake up and genuinely look forward to the day? Not because something exciting was happening, not because of a meeting or a deadline or a plan, just look forward to it for no dramatic reason at all. If you had to pause before answering that, this book might be exactly what you need right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nikhil, and today's conversation is about a book that does not arrive with a bang. It arrives like a quiet morning, gentle, unhurried, and somehow deeply necessary. Sometimes the most important questions are not the loudest ones. Sometimes they are the ones whispered so quietly we almost miss them entirely. The book is Ikigai by Héctor García and Francesc Miralles. And before we go any further, let's sit with that word for a moment. Ikigai. It's Japanese, and it roughly translates to a reason for being. Quiet answer to why you wake up in the morning. Now, when most people hear that, they immediately think, oh, purpose, my life mission, the big thing I am supposed to do. But here's what this book gets beautifully right. Your Ikigai doesn't have to be grand. It does not have to be world-changing or a headline-worthy. Sometimes, it's a craft you love, a person you care for deeply, a discipline that keeps you steady when everything else feels uncertain, a way of moving through the world that makes your ordinary days feel quite meaningful. That reframe alone is worth the price of the book. Because we live in a time where everyone is asking, how do I become more successful? How do I achieve more? How do I get ahead? And very few people pause to ask the most important question. What kind of life would actually feel worth of living every day? Ikigai turns your face towards that question, patiently, without any judgment. We spend so much time, so much energy chasing a life that looks good. This book gently asks you, what would a life that feels good might actually look like? At the heart of Ikigai is a beautifully simple framework. 4 overlapping circles. What you love, what you are good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. Your Ikigai, your reason for being, lives somewhere in the middle, where all 4 of those circles overlap each other. Now, that sounds straightforward on the paper, but here's where it gets interesting. Most of us are living firmly inside 1 or 2 of those circles. Maybe we are doing the work we are good at, but don't actually love it. Maybe we love something deeply, but we haven't figured out how to make it useful or sustainable. And that gap between where we are and where those 4 circles meet, that gap is where most of the modern restlessness lives. This book does not hand you a magic formula for closing that gap overnight. What it does instead is something far more valuable. It helps you start noticing, paying attention to those activities that light you up. Which movement make time disappear? Which work makes you feel useful and alive simultaneously? And that noticing, that slow, patient noticing is where everything begins. Your Ikigai is rarely something you discovered in a single moment. It is something you notice gradually in pattern of moments that make you feel most like yourself. Let me share the lessons that stayed with me the longest. The first one. Purpose doesn't have to be gigantic to be life-changing. We have been sold this idea that meaning has to be enormous. That if your purpose doesn't move mountains, somehow it does not count. But Ikigai pushes back on that quietly and firmly. The way you care for your family, the craft you keep refining even when no one is watching, the small consistent acts of showing up, These are not lesser versions of purpose. Sometimes they are the purpose, fully expressed. The second lesson: slow consistency beats sudden transformation every single time. The people explored in this book don't build meaningful lives through dramatic overnight reinvention. They build them through rituals, movement, food, relationships, curiosity, useful work, nothing flashy. But repeated over years, these humble rhythms create something most people spend their whole lives searching for. We are shaped less by the rare breakthroughs and more by the texture of our ordinary days. That line stayed with me for a long time. The third lesson: find your flow. You know that feeling when you are so absorbed in something that you look up and 2 hours have already passed? That's the flow. And this book says, pay very close attention to those moments because they are often pointing directly at your Ikigai. A writer writing, a teacher teaching, a creator editing a video at midnight with a complete absolute joy. Whatever it is for you, notice it, protect it, and follow it. And the fourth lesson, and this one hit me differently: joy and discipline are not opposites. When what you do is genuinely aligned with what matters to you, discipline stops feeling like a punishment. It starts feeling like a devotion. And that shift, that quiet internal shift, changes the entire texture of your daily life. The goal is not to find a life without effort. The goal is to find effort that feels like it's worth making. Beneath all the frameworks and lessons, what is Ikigai really saying? I think it is saying this: most of us are living at a slight distance from ourselves. We are doing what we are supposed to do, achieving what we are supposed to achieve, living the life that looks exactly perfect from the outside. And yet, something feels off. Not dramatically wrong, just slightly misaligned. Ikigai is an invitation to close that distance. Not through the dramatic life overhaul, not by quitting everything and starting fresh, but through small, deliberate, honest acts of attention. What actually gives your day shape? What makes you feel useful? What would you keep doing even if nobody was watching? Those questions don't need grand answers. They just need honest ones. A meaningful life is not built in one defining moment. It's assembled quietly, choice by choice, day by day, in the small decisions nobody else sees. So, who is this book really for? Honestly, it is for anyone who has ever felt restless in the middle of successful life. It is for anyone who has looked at everything they have built and thought, why does this feel strangely empty sometimes? Anyone who's trying to rebuild the rhythm, meaning, and a sense of inner steadiness in a world that keeps getting louder. This is not a book of loud breakthroughs. This is a book of quiet calibrations. And sometimes those are the books that change us the most. Personally, if you ask me, what stayed with me was not a single idea. A feeling that slowing down is not same as falling behind. That meaning doesn't always announce itself. That the life worth living is often the one you are already living, just more consciously, more honestly, and more fully. If Ikigai has been sitting on your shelf waiting, maybe this is your sign to finally pick it up. And if you have already read it, I would genuinely love to know what you felt about it. What does your Ikigai currently look like? Maybe it's your work, maybe it's your family, maybe it's a creative practice you have quietly building every day. Drop it in the comments. I would really love to continue this conversation with you. Remember the question I opened with? When was the last time you wake up and genuinely look forward to the day? I hope this book and this conversation brings you a little closer to that feeling. And with that, me Nikhil, signing off. We will meet again soon with another book, another quiet conversation, and another cup of coffee. Until then, take care. If you get some value from this video, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Share this video with a fellow reader and keep turning the page. I thank you very much.